welcome back to They Did What? Your source of the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, your story titled, Am I the A-hole for getting my friend's girlfriend arrested after she got drunk and broke things in our house? And guys, this story is about a guy, he's 27 years old, married a couple of years, and he and his wife, since they're young, sounds like they're, to save money, he has his best friend, living in the house with them. And recently he allowed his bro's girlfriend to come live there too. Well, as the title says, she's obviously got way out of hand. She's obviously got her issues here. This guy had her arrested. And obviously that caused problems with the friendship. And you're going to see just how this whole thing plays out. And I'm going to go over here, guys, making the point that while I'm all for, the saying bros before you know what, and taking care of your buddies, remember, guys, there's a point that no matter what, you always have to take care of you first. And if your buddy, who you've been friends with forever, is bringing a lot of turmoil into your life, particularly with a girlfriend or wife, there's a point, if he doesn't see reality for what it is, what his girlfriend's like, his wife is like, that there's a point it's time to cut him off. That's not the first choice, but eventually that has to be the choice if it goes too far. And that's what we got going on here. And what I like about this story is, aside from the fact that I like when drunken a-holes get arrested and all that, also this guy takes care of himself. You got to take care of yourself, guys, because nobody else is going to do it for you. Otherwise, you're just inviting a lot of turmoil and drama into your life. So it starts off, says, Hi guys, this is a bit of a long story. Some background here. A few months ago, my best friend Mark, who's 27, moved his girlfriend Heather in with us. My wife Cindy and I were okay with this. Mark and I have been friends since elementary school. Right before Heather moved in, she got herself pretty drunk that ended in a screaming match with her sister and throwing things at Mark. So right there, already. In my opinion, unless your money's really tight, maybe you're saving up for a house, once you're married, that's it. There's no other couples in the house. Some people do this when they're still in their 20s because they're kind of used to that college roommate lifestyle or just that lifestyle, But when you're married, I think you got to be on your own. But anyhow, look already, the drama coming into his household because of this broad. We weren't too happy with this, but Mark said that he talked to her and she wouldn't get to that point again. Well, on to the story. 2 weeks ago, we were all hanging out and having some drinks. Mark and Heather, Mark's the buddy, Heather is the girlfriend, were going a little crazy, but they're adults, so whatever. Well, Cindy and I decided we were going to start dinner since Heather was pretty unintelligible, and it was like 9 o'clock. Mark started also working on dinner, so I hung out in the living room while Cindy went to our room. Well, Heather, the girlfriend, goes into their room. She comes back out and heads outside for like 20 minutes. I asked if she was good and got a small mumble. Well, Heather comes back in and goes into the kitchen and then goes back into the room again. At this point, Mark is done making their dinner and goes into their room. Mark comes out and sits with me in the living room, and we're talking about my brother's upcoming bachelor party. We then hear a lot of banging coming from their room. Mark went in to go check on Heather, but she had blocked the door. And here we go with the more drama here. This is why, guys, you're careful who you let in your life, let alone in your house. They really should have screened this Heather girl. Well, he convinced her to open the door, and he went in. Heather starts screaming and yelling, continuing to slam things around. Drama queen, drunken asshole. I have zero tolerance for drunks. After about 10 minutes of hearing Heather yelling at Mark and trying to calm her down, I went in and told Heather she needs to calm down. She starts yelling some really weird and extremely racist things that I won't put here. Heather is half Latino and half African American too, by the way. So she's yelling racist comments at this dude's apartment or house, who he let her come in. Would you guys tolerate this crap from a buddy's girlfriend or a buddy? Time to call the cops. Have them drag her out of here. Well, she starts getting louder and louder, tearing things off the walls. Oh, now she's damaging the house. I told her she needed to go outside and calm down. She refused and started picking up their bed and slamming it down. I told her if she didn't stop, we would call the cops so she could go calm down somewhere else and wasn't tearing things up. She just got louder and louder and slammed the bed even more. I want to point out that I don't recall if he says it's an apartment or house, but probably some neighbors are being disturbed here. I would not tolerate this shit. Of course, I want to get myself in the situation to begin with. Well, I told Cindy to call the cops and tell them what we needed. That we needed Heather gone for the night. Well, 2 cops show up and ask the 3 of us to please step outside while they try to talk to Heather, who just continues yelling. Then it gets a little quiet, and I can see through our screen door, and I see Heather trying to punch one of the cops. Big mistake. Now, depending where you live, if you live in certain states, you try punching or punch a cop. Other states, candy ass states, they may let you get away with a little more than that. It also depends on the DA and the judge. Well, 5 minutes later, 7 more police officers show up. They all run inside, and we can all hear Heather screaming and yelling still. I don't know about you guys, but some drunken a-hole's getting out of control, and she hits a cop. The way I see it, he or she hits a cop, drunken a-hole, out of control, drugs, alcohol. Those cops have every right, in my opinion, to put an end to the situation how they see fit. I know a lot of people are going to get pissed off at that, but I don't care. That's the way I see it. 10 minutes later, they bring her outside in one of those cop body suit things that they use when somebody's struggling and won't stop. They put her in one of the cars and are standing talking to each other. We can hear them saying that she got combative, threw stuff which hit a cop, and tried hitting one of them. 7 cops to get her. I've had bouncers, I've had police officers tell me, because of martial arts, when I was in martial arts for years, I got to know different police officers and bouncers. They all said the same thing. They'd rather deal with a black belt, trained to fight martial artist, than a drunken woman, because it's out of control. The kicking, the screaming, the biting, the screaming, the hair pulling, the scratches, all that stuff. It's crazy. 7 cops. Where the hell was I? They cart her off and tell us themselves that she's being arrested and ask if we want to press charges. Since she didn't do anything to us, we said no. Smack! I'd press charges. But then again, I have no tolerance for bullshit. Well, the cops left and cleaned up the mess in the living room. And, we cleaned up the mess in the living room. And they then hung out with Mark to make sure he was okay. So this is when this buddy here, Mark, this is when you have a serious talking to. Bro, Mark, we've been friends for 20 years. We're best friends. This girl's got to go. She's out of control. She's always drunk. She loses her freaking shit. She's out of here. But honestly, you need to end it with her. Part 2. He says, well, that blew up faster than I thought. For context, no, we didn't press charges because she only broke her own stuff and made a bit of a mess. Pressing charges was just something we didn't feel like dealing with for her breaking her own crap. I also messed up on the timeline. This happened 2 weeks ago. We had a lot going on since. Sorry. He says, well, Heather was released the next day with a preliminary hearing set for last Thursday. We obviously spent so much time talking about what had happened. Mark said he was going to break up with Heather and spend the whole night first week saying that. Okay, good for Mark. Let's see if he sticks to this. Then last week he said he isn't going to break up with her. Smack! Oh, one of those idiots. I told him that's his choice, and it's a stupid one, but she's not allowed back at the house at all, and he said he understood. Good for this guy. You got to take care of yourself, gentlemen. Well, 2 days ago, before the preliminary hearing, Cindy and Mark are subpoenaed to court. Sadly, I wasn't so. Sadly, I wasn't so. This part is second. Okay, he messed the words here, but this part, he said this part's secondhand from Cindy. Cindy told me that because it's a felony, the judge is passing the case on to the DA, the district court for magistrate. I guess the DA went up to Cindy and Mark and said that they could offer Heather a plea deal where she would basically be on probation with mandated therapy and mandated AA. Now, whether the district judge accept that is anyone's guess. So, okay, I guess because she punched the cop, that's the felony. Well, good. She should. This is what happens. I talked with Mark that night after I got off work, and he said they had a long talk after that, and they're staying together, but won't be attached to the hip. Smack! After all that, he's still staying with her. He is attached to the hip. He's pee-whipped. And he's a moron. And this is when, guys, in situations like this, when you have a bro who's involved with a woman who's really out of control or a problem on multiple fronts, this is when you have to reevaluate your life. You know, you warn your friend and all that. You tell him you're there for him, but there's a point where You don't need this shit in your life. He's friends with Mark. It's going to come back to him with her. Mark also said that Heather doesn't remember anything that happened and we stopped hanging out. He has spent every day since then with her, but that's his thing, so I don't really care. Yeah, she claims she doesn't remember anything. How convenient. And guess what? They're no longer hanging out. And he's with her every day. Sounds like joined at the hip to me. Well, Cindy and I were out of town this past weekend, and we noticed on our doorbell camera that her car was magically gone at the same time Mark's was gone. I confronted him, and he insisted she never went inside our house. And our doorbell doesn't show she went in. Cindy and I talked, and we're ready to kick him out too. We had another talk last night, and he's moving out because they are finding a place together. Good. They should kick him out. This is just not working. I'd be like, look, man, as long as you're with her, it's not going to work you staying here. And they're moving in together. Gee, what could go wrong? See, guys, even though you care about your friends, your bros, you can't always save them. We also told Mark we wanted an apology even if Heather didn't think she deserved it. I also confronted Mark because he was saying that at my brother's bachelor party that Heather didn't deserve it and the cops didn't need to be called. Oh, yes, they did. She was out of control, destroying shit, even if it was her stuff, in this guy's house, and insulting him, and she could have got a lot worse. Of course he can call the cops. Now he's picking her over this guy telling the story. He's picking the hoe over his bro, which is highly inappropriate in any type of event, but especially that one. Heather's been telling Mark that she was trying to leave and go to her brother's. She walked outside that one time and came back in with nobody trying to stop her. She also said that I started a confrontation with her, and that's why she went off the rails. Here we go. It's this guy's fault. It's his fucking house. And she was a drunk asshole. Happened multiple times. I call bullshit because why would we try to stop her from leaving unless it was in a car? And we also asked how the hell she knows that she was supposedly so blacked out since she doesn't remember anything. Exactly. This guy's dipshit friend is picking the girl over his brother here. Mark claims he doesn't remember anything until after the cops left, which is crap because we talked about what happened multiple times over the days after this occurred. He's just being an idiot and we won't be dealing with it anymore. He says either way, both are moving out. Heather isn't allowed back except to get her stuff, and we'll be having an officer there when she is there. And that is an abrupt ending to the story here. Making the point, guys, like I said, of course you want to take care of your friends, your bros, but there's a point when it's crossed too far with the bros, with usually a girlfriend or wife, and that point you got to walk away. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I'm glad this guy's distancing him because he's seen this. But notice this Mark character, his buddy here, is putting the hoe before this bro. This guy telling the story is a good friend. But it was crossed, the line was crossed, and you can't tolerate shit. So I say he made the right choice. Now I'm going to read a few comments here, and then I'm done here. This guy says, Mark's parents should have taught him that you never stick your dick in crazy. The sex may be great, but the price in the end. Question mark. This is not going to end well for him, and he's probably going to try coming to you guys about it. Let us know when he does so we can get the vicarious popcorn out. There will be updates. And one more. This guy says, not the a-hole, but change your locks. This type of drunken crazy rarely stops and frequently escalates, especially since you and Cindy are now the enemy. And he says the enemy in quotes. You may as well put the kibosh on your friendship with Mark because not only is he thinking with the wrong head, he's now deeply in the savior complex, hopefully not to his own detriment. Sounds like Heather truly loathes her racial heritage. I hope she gets the help that she needs. Super glad that you washed your hands of this toxic mess that is Mark's girlfriend. I would strongly urge you, brother, to rescind Mark's invitation, if he is invited, to his wedding because he'll most assuredly bring the volatile Heather as his +1, and there will be fireworks, not the good kind. So, there you go. Point of the whole story, like I said, is don't tolerate crap, guys. Even if it's with your bros, and your bros bring turmoil into your life, time to really evaluate. There are times in life, guys, you really have to reevaluate, and oftentimes do spring cleaning of the people in your life when there's too much. The bad is way worse than the good. And that's unfortunate with somebody you've known a long time, but it's amazing to me, and I've made a whole YouTube career out of this, sharing stories of good guys that have just effed their lives up royally because of letting the wrong woman into their life. You think they learn, but they don't. So anyhow, good job on this guy, how he handled it, and that's another bro that's lost, but, can't save them all. Alright guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, you got a good story, send it my way. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.